never thought I'd become the kind of person who tests the person they love. But there I was, sitting in my car outside our apartment at 11 o'clock at night, heart hammering, watching the front door like some kind of private investigator hired to spy on my own relationship. What I found out that night didn't break my trust in my partner. It broke my trust in myself. Let me take you back about 3 weeks before everything fell apart. My partner Mara and I had been together for 4 years. 4 years of inside jokes, lazy Sunday mornings, and building something that genuinely felt real. But somewhere around month 43, a seed of doubt got planted in my head. And once it was there, I couldn't pull it out no matter how hard I tried. It started with a name: Jordan. Jordan was someone Mara worked with, and she mentioned this person maybe 3 or 4 times over a couple of weeks. That alone meant nothing. People talk about coworkers. It's normal. But the way she laughed when she mentioned certain stories, the way her eyes kind of lit up, in a way that made me feel like I wasn't part of the joke, that stuck with me. I started paying attention in a way I never had before. And when you start watching someone with suspicion instead of love, you start finding evidence of things that probably don't even exist. I noticed she was on her phone more in the evenings. I noticed she seemed distracted during dinner. I noticed she started going to the gym at times that didn't quite match her old routine. Each one of these things individually was completely meaningless. Taken together by a brain already marinating in anxiety, they felt like a pattern. I want to be honest with you here. I never had one concrete reason to distrust Mara. Not one. In 4 years, she had been consistent, warm, and present. She had shown up for me through some genuinely dark periods in my life. But anxiety doesn't care about track records. It just feeds and grows and whispers. So I made a decision I will regret for the rest of my life. I decided to test her. My plan felt clever at the time, which is honestly one of the most embarrassing sentences I've ever had to say out loud. I created a fake social media profile. Nothing elaborate, just a realistic-looking account, with some photos I pulled from a stock image site and a believable username. The idea was simple and awful. I would send Mara a message through this fake account, be flirtatious, see how she responded, and finally get the answer I convinced myself I needed. I spent an entire evening crafting the first message. Friendly but subtly flirtatious. The kind of thing that could be brushed off or escalated depending on how she chose to respond. I hit send and then immediately felt sick. She didn't respond that night, or the next morning. I kept checking, refreshing, telling myself that her silence either meant she was too smart to engage or that she simply wasn't interested. Either way, I tried to convince myself I was doing something rational, that this was just due diligence, that any reasonable person in my position would want to know the truth. That's what we tell ourselves when we're doing something we know is wrong. On the third day, she responded. She said something like, "Hey, I think you might have the wrong person, but hope you're having a good day." Polite, brief, completely uninterested. That should have been the end of it. That should have been the moment I deleted the fake account, deleted the guilt from my chest, and went and hugged the woman I loved. Instead, I pushed further. I responded saying I didn't have the wrong person, that I'd seen her profile and thought she seemed interesting. I was testing to see where her boundary was. I was prodding, and I knew it. This time she didn't respond for almost 2 days. When she did, her message was different, firmer. She said she was in a committed relationship, that she wasn't interested in this kind of conversation, and that she'd appreciate it if I didn't reach out again. And then, because apparently I hadn't done enough damage to myself in my relationship yet, I went one step further. I sent one final message. Something like, "He doesn't have to know. Just curious what you'd say." I want you to sit with that for a second. I said that to my own partner, disguised as a stranger, testing whether she would cheat with someone who was willing to help her deceive me. Let that sink in. She blocked the account immediately. No response, just gone. I should have felt relief. She had passed every version of my ridiculous test. She had been loyal, direct, and appropriately dismissive. I had my answer. The answer was always yes. She is trustworthy. You are the problem here. But here's where the story gets worse. That evening, Mara was quiet at dinner. Not distracted quiet like I'd been misreading before. Actually quiet, withdrawn in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. I asked if she was okay, and she said she was just tired, but something about her expression made my stomach drop. After dinner, she sat on the couch and started talking. She said she needed to tell me something, because it had been bothering her all day. She said that recently she'd been getting a weird feeling, that someone might be watching her online activity, and she'd also noticed some small inconsistencies in our apartment. That made her wonder if I'd gone through her phone while she was sleeping one night. She wasn't accusing me directly. She was just telling me how she felt. She said she didn't want to carry around a feeling like that without at least bringing it up, because she believed honesty was the foundation of everything we had. She looked me directly in the eyes and said, "I would never do anything to hurt you. I just need you to know that. And I need to know you feel the same way." I have never felt so small in my entire life. She had no idea it was me. She didn't connect the fake account to me at all. She just felt something was off in our environment, and her instinct was to come to me openly and honestly. Her response to discomfort was vulnerability and communication. Mine had been deception and surveillance. I sat there and I lied to her face. I told her nothing was wrong. I told her I hadn't gone through her phone. I hugged her and told her I loved her, and I felt like a complete fraud. I spent the next week unable to sleep properly. The guilt was suffocating. But the worst part wasn't even the guilt over what I had done. The worst part was the realization that had been crawling toward me this whole time and finally arrived like a train I couldn't get out of the way of. The thing I was afraid of, losing her trust, betraying the relationship, having someone in our dynamic who wasn't fully honest. That person was me. It had been me the entire time. I had become the exact thing I was terrified she might be. I had tested her loyalty, and what I discovered, humiliatingly, was my own disloyalty. My own capacity to deceive the person I loved. My own willingness to invade her privacy. Construct a lie and then sit across from her at dinner acting like everything was fine. She passed the test. I failed it. I eventually told her. Not right away, but about 2 weeks later. I sat her down, I walked her through everything, and I watched her face move through confusion, and then hurt. And then something that looked almost like pity, which was honestly the hardest part to witness. She didn't scream. She didn't leave immediately. She cried quietly, and then she asked me one question. She asked why I didn't just talk to her. I didn't have an answer good enough to give her. I still don't. We're not together anymore. She needed time and space that eventually became permanent distance. I don't blame her for that. What I gave her in those weeks wasn't love. It was surveillance dressed up as love. And people can feel the difference even when they can't name it yet. If there's anything I want you to take from this story, it's not that loyalty tests never work. It's that by the time you feel you need to run one, the relationship has already been damaged. And the one doing the damaging might be you. Trust someone or talk to them. There is no third option that doesn't cost you everything.